I think I'm probably gonna upload this to YouTube separately, so for those guys, however you stumble across my channel, enjoy this little bit of stupidity of ranking. Wait, where's Barcelona? Why is it here? It's supposed to be. Why is it backwards? Why is it? Oh man, I've sorted it alphabetically, really, you know, working for it, and now it's all jumbled again. So I guess we're gonna be doing it this way then. Whatever. Okay, but for the latecomers to the party, unfortunately, you're not gonna be. I'm gonna have to turn this fucking music down a tiny bit again. Let's just do this. Let's turn all of it down. Boom. There we go. For the latecomers, we're gonna be doing a tier list of all the ACC tracks, and with all of them except the newest three, and I guess except Snetterton, I have a lot of experience actually. I have a tiny bit of experience at Snetterton, but I haven't really driven much there, which is for good reason. But, right, so all of the normal tracks that are not from the American DLC, I'm gonna be ranking just from the top of my head, because I've spent enough time there. And then, for these three special boys, I'm gonna need to be turning a few laps in ACC just to get used to it, or just to get a feel for it, because I've done like 3 laps at COTA in the M2, and I've done like 2 laps at Indy in the M2, and then I've done no laps at Watkins Glen, but I've commentated on a race at Watkins Glen. So definitely not enough to be, you know, comfortable with rating them. But let's get the talk out of the way. Let's start with Zolder. And Zolder is actually one that I haven't driven in a long time. But I like Zolder. It's sort of a rare gem. It's sort of a finding an onion ring in your fries. I'm usually not a huge fan of onion rings. That's why I never get them. But finding an onion ring in the fries is a nice little mix-up, you know? In a whole pile of regular ass fries. And that's what Zolder feels like. It's a very different track from most other tracks. So it has a lot of overtaking opportunities. It's actually kind of fun to hot lap. It has a very different feel. I like small-ish tracks in general. So saying all of those things, you would think I'd have to put it in A or S, but I hate the chicanes, especially the first chicane. It's interesting. It's definitely an unusual chicane, but it's bad. It's really objectively just a terrible fucking chicane. And that's why... Can we turn this down a tiny bit more? Come on. Yeah, for that reason, when Zolder comes up in a league, in a race I have to race, I will be happy-ish, but I'm not like, fuck yeah, Zolder. So, B tier. And I think that's not a bad place to put it. I think a lot of people are just sort of indifferent about Zolder. So, Mount Panorama, boom. Easy. No question. Absolutely no question about it. Easily my fucking favorite track in ACC. I've said it on the OOR stream the other week. It's such a beautiful balance of 100% concentration over the hill, absolutely no time for you to relax or have a lapse in concentration. And then you have 2.5 long straights that are perfect for overtaking and perfect for just getting ready for the next mountain section again. And the mountain section is so extremely unique with the corners, the layout of the corners and the walls being close to you. There's nothing like it, and that's sad. On one hand it's sad, but on the other hand I think if there was something else like Bathurst, then it would lose a lot of its charm. And that charm easily fucking puts it at S tier. Now, next one. This is gonna be interesting. I'm shifting between these two. Not a fan. Not a fan of Zandvoort. And you can't overtake. The newer F1 version of Zandvoort that we don't have in ACC is a lot cooler. Skyline is shit, hate that track. Well, I'm happy to have you on board, because differing opinions are what makes this stuff interesting. Zandvoort isn't that alright. It has a nice flow when you're hot lapping it. But then it also has one of the absolute worst chicanes in ACC and in racing in general, which is this little... I hope you can see my mouse cursor, beeply boop back here. The 90 right and then 180 left. It's horrid. There's nothing... There's something worse than it, but it's not a lot. So... It's just not a track I like a lot. But it's kind of fun to hot lap on your own. But I'm gonna have to be putting it in D tier for now. No overtaking, kind of fun to hot lap, kind of fun, but then the chicane kills the flow. We'll put it in C tier for now, and let's see what else we put in C tier. And then if there's other stuff that I definitely like more in C tier, then it's going to move down. But let's move on with another one where I'm sorta teetering on the edge between B and C, which is Brands Hatch. And the Audi, it's sketchy. I can imagine that. I can definitely imagine that. But Brands Hatch is similar-ish to Zandvoort, but I definitely appreciate it a lot more than Zandvoort. It's another one of those where you can't really overtake, but it's really fun to hot lap solo. It has a super good flow. It's a small track, but it's a high-speed track, especially the second, third sectors. It's not one of my absolute favorites, and also you can't overtake there, but it's in a similar vein to Zolder. It's also one of those small tracks that's not super common, but when it's in there, it's a nice little mix-up, because I always like those small tracks that are not really F1 grade tracks. So, similar to Zolder, moves into B tier for now. Now, Imola is one where I'm kind of split on. Imola, I know a lot of people absolutely love Imola and would easily put it in S tier. It's a pretty unique track, has a lot of tight radius corners, but it's also a pretty fast track. I love Acqua Minerale. I hate the chicane on top of the hill, Variante Alta. Absolutely terrible. Horrid chicane. But I appreciate that it's a really historic and really unique track. But I'm not sure if I can justify putting it in A tier, because there's a lot of other tracks that I would put in A tier that I like more than Imola. So, like these two friends, it goes into B tier for now, which, let's hope it's not gonna become a super cluttered B tier. But yeah, definitely a good track. No hate against it, but it's definitely not up there with my favorites. Speaking of favorites, this one. Donington Park. Very interesting track. Super, sorta Brands Hatchy in the first half of the track with these fast, no run-off corners. Super, you know, a lot of elevation changes that make it really interesting and really fun, like a roller coaster. I think people call it the roller coaster or something. And then the second half of the track is completely different with that chicane. That is a very unique and strange chicane, but one that I actually appreciate. It's not one of those where I'll say terrible fucking chicane, which I've said a lot about these chicanes. And then you have the double hairpin where you can actually race side by side closely, which is pretty fun. So I think this might be a bit controversial. I think Donington Park generally is a pretty well-liked circuit, but I don't think a lot of people will put it in S tier. I definitely know a guy whose favorite track is Donington Park, and I think it is also his home track, so fair enough. And it's definitely not my absolute favorite, but it's close. If Bathurst wasn't there, I definitely would have to think about which one my favorite track is, and this would be in the mix. But next up is Monza, which is also a unique track. We're getting a lot of unique tracks so far. But I guess we'll come to the less unique ones. But Monza is the bane of a lot of beginning ACC drivers if they go into Monza open lobbies and get taken out in turn 1. And Yeah, in leagues you're not gonna get taken out in turn 1 as much, but turn 1 is still an absolute clusterfuck. Not long ago I did the 6 hours of Monza for the Coach Dave 1000, and on the restart we basically stopped for a second in turn 1. And I didn't really lose any positions for that, just everyone kinda hit the brakes and almost came to a standstill. But that's the way it is, and that's a very unique charm. There's few other tracks that have that sort of stuff, so that definitely makes it cool. And also, it's fun. It's such a good track for fighting. It's such a good track for overtakes. I've uploaded a video not long ago about my top overtakes, or just all of my overtakes from the restarts of that Coach Dave 1000 race, and it was like 11 overtakes in one stint against cars that are pretty fast, or drivers that are pretty fast. So super fun to battle there, super fun to overtake, and actually not super bad to hot lap solo either, even though it gets a bit boring. I know people are definitely going to be finding it boring because it has so many straights and so few corners, but I like that about it, and it's going to be moving into A tier. Boom, there we go. And then I think we might be coming to one of the more polarizing ones. Maybe not as polarizing, because a lot of people seem to hate on Paul Ricard, but I'm not going to be putting it into D tier, no. Paul Ricard is actually one of my more liked tracks. And I can't entirely tell you why, but I also can't entirely tell you why people hate it so much. I think, actually, now that I think about it, it's gotta be because of the, turbo hybrid F1 era, where cars could not follow each other at all, and there was very little overtaking at Paul Ricard, because it's just so many long, flowing corners. But in ACC, in cars that actually are able to follow each other, it's a really good track for battling, because of the long straight, of course. And sure, you could say the long straight makes battling less fun, but you can have situations where you go past in the straights and then stay in front of the other guy until you come to the next straights and they go past you again. That's the sort of stuff you can experience here. And then coming to senior, I think it's what it's called, and then this super long right-hander. There's a lot of different lines through this right-hander than the next left-hander, and even the final corner has different lines. So there's a lot of opportunity for close fighting. Actually, no, we haven't skipped Hungaroring. There's a lot of opportunity for close fighting. And yeah, I guess it gives you eye cancer a tiny bit. Definitely an F, says Draco, which is fair enough. A lot of people are gonna say that. But I hope you forgive me, Draco. I really do. I hope I can make it up to you somehow. Paul Ricard goes in A tier. I like it. I like it a lot. It might be because it's one of the... No, it is the very first track I've actually raced on. It is the very first track I've ever had any online sim race on in the OOR rookie season. The very first one was at Paul Ricard, and I came 10th, which I was pretty proud about. And I think I came 9th actually. Yeah, I think I set myself the goal of coming in the top 10, and I got 9th. Because I spent like a week every day, 2 or 3 hours practicing. And I think that was a pretty good start for my sim racing career. But yeah, maybe a bit of nostalgia. It gives you a bit of eye cancer, but I actually like the unique look. Yeah, nostalgia, I'm good at it. That's probably factoring into it. Good overtaking. Not super fun to hot lap, to be honest. But I like it. There we go. There's one we can sort of agree on. Hungaroring. Sucks. Hungaroring just kinda sucks. It gives you the illusion of having a good flow in the first sector, and then in the second and third sector it gradually just breaks that down. It has this squiggly stuff in the second sector, which is sort of reminiscent of Maggots and Beckets on Silverstone and the S's at Suzuka, but it's just a lot worse. It basically is the S's and Maggots and Beckets without any flow. There we go. Hungaroring, no overtaking. No little flow. The first sector is actually kind of fun. Up to this right-hander. Not fun to hot lap. D tier. I think D tier is generous. But as you can see, we have at least one example of every category now except F tier, and that's gonna change with this boy. And really think about it, that might be the only one in F tier. But I have such an unnatural hate for Barcelona. I can't really tell you. There's nothing that's super terrible about Barcelona, but there's also just literally not a single thing that is good. Is Misano scale not even an F? Yeah, I know it's not a well-liked track, but I definitely know people. I don't know a lot of people that hate it this much. I should know you like it too. Yeah, I kind of remember you liking it too, but I don't really remember liking it. You liking it as much as A tier. Draco definitely doesn't. But yeah, so I guess apparently we can kind of agree on this stuff so far. But yeah, Barcelona. The start-finish straight is actually pretty long, but it doesn't feel as long as it is. First two corners are no fun. Long right-hander is no fun, just kills your tires. Tire life is terrible. You get like 1.5 seconds slower over the course of a stint, at least I do, because I'm terrible at tire saving. Fourth corner is alright. Turn 5 is dumb, turn 6 is dumb, turn 7 is dumb. Hairpin at turn 8 is alright, I guess, actually sort of an overtaking opportunity. Turn 9 is dumb, turn 10 is dumb, and turn 9 is already a corner. And then comes the... We've had so many dumb corners, and then comes the worst corner of them all, which is the chicane at the end. Which is so horrible. So... I don't want to dwell too much on this, because it's just making me angry. Barcelona, there we go, F tier. Bottom of F tier. An absolute shit stain on the world of motor racing. I apologize to whoever designed Barcelona, because it is a popular track in real life racing. I mean, no one really likes it, I think, but F1 has been there for ages. They test there. GT3 stuff goes there. Motorbike races goes there. I mean, MotoGP. Everyone goes there. Everyone likes it. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone likes it, but it's an objectively alright track for commercial use. And I guess that's a good thing for if you want to make money, but not a good thing for soul. But speaking of soul, and speaking of not good things about making money, maybe they are just cheap. Ah, well, who knows? I'm not sure if Barcelona is that cheap. It's a pretty modern track. Who knows? But Kyalami, definitely a fan favorite in GT3 racing, in ACC, and sort of an unknown gem in the real world. It's not a track a lot of people know about, a lot of modern racing fans, ever since F1 stopped racing there, which actually I think was a while ago. But hey, there's talks about F1 going back there, and I think that is a very good idea, not only because it would bring another continent onto the F1 grid, or the F1 calendar, that really shouldn't be missing from the F1 calendar. But it's also just such a good track. It has such a beautiful flow, such a good combination of unique corners, nice opportunities for fighting, really, really iconic corners in sunsets. I think Loikop or whatever is what the corner on top of the hill is pronounced is called. Cheetah, the right-hand kink that kills a lot of people and has killed me in the past. So, lovely track, nice overtaking opportunities, beautiful to hot lap, wonderful elevation changes, wonderful scenery with palm trees, with a nice sunset, with, I think, what is it in the background? Johannesburg? I think it's Johannesburg in the background. It's not really putting everything together for me to be able to put it in S tier, but I will definitely agree with Christoph that it should be in A tier. And now the next one is interesting as well, because this one is much in the same it's much in the same vein as Brands Hatch, is Laguna Seca. Very short track, no margin for error, no little overtaking opportunities, no straights really, even fewer straights than Brands Hatch has, because at least Brands Hatch has at least the straights between the, I don't know, corners. But Laguna Seca is, first of all, I love the scenery. It's sort of a, I mean, it's not in the desert. It's in like, it's in Southern California, which is arid enough, but it's still a very deserty and different looking track. It has no grass. It has sand everywhere, and that's pretty unique about it. And I like that it has sand everywhere, because it's just different. It's super fun to hot lap. Not necessarily super fun to race there, because you can't really race there, but it has a super iconic corner in the form of a corkscrew, which is absolutely unparalleled. I guess the only thing that really comes close to it is the downhill section of Bathurst, but Bathurst is, I mean, absolute S tier, so no question about that. Our expert in the chat says in the Porsche A, in every other car D. And yeah, in the Porsche it's a really good track, but it's also a really good track in the Honda, and it's a very decent track in the Merc. And those are the only cars I've driven. No, I've driven the Aston around there once, and it wasn't bad either. I really enjoyed that. There's no car that I haven't enjoyed Laguna Seca in yet. And on some occasions I've gotten into Laguna Seca practicing, and then I started thinking to myself, God, I fucking hate this track, it's terrible. And then as soon as I got used to it and actually got consistent at it, it was so much fun. And that's why A tier. Even without a Porsche. Even if Christoph says D tier in every other car, A tier in Porsche, I'm thinking A tier overall. Sure, there's cars that are better at it, but it's not really gonna detract from the track, right? So, A tier is definitely filling up. Looking at the... oh yeah, well, looking at the rest of the tracks, there's definitely more candidates for A tier. But I think those are gonna take a while, because next one is Oulton Park. And Oulton Park is very similar to Laguna Seca, Zolder, whatever. It's a rare gem. Gem in big quotation marks. It's so unusual, it's so different. It's a rallycross track. And I will stand by that. It is not a track for GT. I mean, it's what is it? A grade C track? It's got to be a grade C track. It's not. It can't be a grade B track. Nürburgring, Nordschleife is a grade C track for context. Kyalami right now is a grade B track, for example. Surely Oulton Park is a grade C track because the surface is absolutely fucking atrocious. It's like 1912 London cobblestone road. It has cool corners. I really like the hairpin. I really like the left-hand kink before the hairpin. That actually is a really fun section. And the final section of the track is also kind of fun. But then the first hairpin is interesting. It's very unique. And if you get it really right, it's fun, but it's hard to get really right. And then the second hairpin is atrocious, because it just takes any flow out of the track. Turn 1, not a huge fan. Turn 2, not a huge fan. And turn 2, in some cars, you can't even really maximize the track, because the outside of the track is so fucking bumpy that you have to leave a bit of space. Which, I guess that's what a lot of people like about it, and I can see that's what Christoph likes about it as well. I love it because it's a unique challenge, and lots of people don't like it. Including me. I don't hate it, but I definitely don't like it. I appreciate its differences. I appreciate its uniqueness, which is not a word, but tough luck. But I really don't appreciate the surface and the second chicane and just how everything comes together, and that it's not raceable at all. It's similar to... Okay, let's look at our collection of tracks where you can't race at, which is Laguna Seca, Brands Hatch, and Zandvoort. And I really like Laguna Seca, but it's not raceable, so it's A tier. I kinda like Brands Hatch, but it's not raceable, so it's B tier. And I don't really like Zandvoort, and it's not raceable, so C tier. And that's where Oulton Park is gonna go as well. And I think that's generous. I think C tier is... the C tier right now is sort of the... You're very close to slipping into D tier if you're not careful. You better study for the next one. to still stay in C tier, but if you get a tiny bit worse, you're in D tier. That's what C tier is right now. And Misano might be changing that, because right now I'm sort of leaning to C tier on Misano as well. But anyway, Misano, haven't raced there in a while. Really been a long time, and no, it hasn't been super long since I raced there, but I actually can't. No, okay, the last race I had there was not fun, because I tried overtaking someone into the kink before the hairpin, and that went wrong, and I got a penalty, even though I'm pretty adamant that I wasn't at fault. And I also spun out, and the other guy continued, and they still gave me a penalty. But still, it's an interesting track. It's sort of a Paul Ricard in the fact that it has so much runoff, but it's small, it's tiny, and it's not really raceable. You can overtake there. It's not as hard as overtaking at Laguna Seca, but it's not super easy. It's such a rare track. You really don't see it a lot. You see it even less than Zolder and whatever. It's just sort of yeah, it's the forgotten Italian child. I mean, Italy has Monza and it has Imola, which are two really good tracks. And it has a lot of other good tracks. But then Misano is just sort of meh. It's just there. It has cool night races in real life. There's been a DTM night race there, which was cool to watch. I think a lot of the races I've done there in ACC have been night races. It's also the scene of my most, not sure if it's the most painful takeouts I've gotten, but it's definitely the most insane way I've gotten taken out, which was someone somehow spinning halfway down this little back straight and then rejoining right when I was driving past and rejoining all the way across the track and just, yeah, meeting me at like 200, probably more than 200 kilometers an hour, and I just went into the wall and did 5 360s or something, and my car was toast and nothing less. And that's where I lost my first season of OR, where I could have won the first OR championship, but I mean, I lost it in a few places, but this was probably the biggest place. I mean, looking at what we have in B tier, which is Zolder and Brands Hatch and Imola, which I also like, which I all like. I can't say I like Misano, I just don't dislike it. It's C tier. It's definitely above, you know, Zandvoort and Oulton Park, but it can't be in B tier. It can't. I like it more in the Bentley. Interesting. That's definitely interesting. Okay. Speaking of interesting, or sort of not interesting, the Nürburgring is sort of just a track. Just a pretty vanilla track. It's very an all-round track. It has a start-finish straight that's not too short, not too long. It has a back straight that's not too short, not too long. It has overtaking opportunities. I've had some really, really, really good battles at Nürburgring well, I've had a battle that started from the starting line to the Dunlop corner, which is this little hairpin. Literally all the way side by side. Yeah, B2A is what the chat is saying, and I can understand that. I think a while ago I would have put it in A. It used to be one of my favorite tracks, but I've sort of just gotten bored of it. It's a very popular track, but it doesn't really hold anything super special for me. The Mercedes Arena is not a really fun place on the track, but most of the other corners are pretty fun. I don't really like the little left-right combo before the back straight. That's not super fun either. But all the other corners are pretty fun. You can have some good racing there, but it's just sort of... It's okay. It's just sort of alright. Schumacher is a special. It's iconic and it's fun. And the Dunlop corner is fun as well. But there's nothing that really stands out about it that would justify putting it into A tier. All of these tracks have something very special. Monza with the long straights, Paul Ricard with the long straight plus super weird racing lines combination. Kyalami is Kyalami. Yeah, Nurbs is a B then. I can't see Nurbs putting in Nurbs with these guys, but it's gonna be moving into B tier, and I'm not gonna be sorting B tier because I can't really make my mind up about that. But yeah, it is a strong B tier. It's close to A tier. While I would have put it into A tier. It used to be one of my favorite tracks. Maybe my favorite tracks early on in my ACC career. But definitely no longer is. It's just gotten kind of stale. But speaking of stale, Silverstone is such a stale track. It's boring. Silverstone is so mad boring. Such a flat track. It hasn't been long since I've seen a cool YouTube video of a guy who took Silverstone, put it into Assetto Corsa, the original Assetto Corsa, and bumped up the elevation of Silverstone by 4 or 5 times. And the curbs were ridiculous, all the buildings and walls around the track were ridiculous, but the track was just flat as hell. It was just flat. The only tiny bit of elevation was, I think, between the corner, is it Stowe? I think it's Stowe. Between Stowe and the chicane. That's the only tiny bit of elevation there is. And sure, it makes sense, it's a fucking runway. It's a RAF runway, so it's gotta be flat, but that just doesn't really make it a super good track. It's an iconic track. It's been on the F1 calendar since, I think, almost the very start. I don't think it's been there since 1950, but it's been there since almost the very start. It has a cool history of just being an RAF track and going through so many different changes. And yeah, it does produce good racing in F1, but it just feels kind of too big for GT3s. It's such a wide track. Unnecessarily wide, so wide and flat. It definitely feels like an airport runway. Do I put it in D tier? Yeah, Silverstone is boring as hell. Yeah, Draco is saying boring as hell. Christoph is saying boring and hard to master. Like at Halloween receiving an orange instead of sweets. I'm liking that comparison. The orange is a very iconic fruit. Orange in your Halloween baskets. Is it that bad? I'm teetering between C and D. I like it more than Hungaroring. I like it less than Zandvoort and Misano. I think because D tier is just so empty, I gotta be putting it in D tier. A lot of endurance races there, a lot of just league races there. It's a popular track. I mean, in real life, it's so historic. It's one of the better venues for F1. But it's definitely not super fun in ACC. And speaking of not super fun in ACC, Snetterton is weird. Snetterton is so fucking weird. I've raced one short race there, and I'm glad that was my only race there. Because it's not fun. It's similar, it's just a baby version of Silverstone is what it feels like. With a bit more hairpins and stuff, but it's also super flat. It's not quite as wide, because it's also just a smaller track. Has a lot of awkward corners, also a few fun corners. I remember it being alright for racing, but like I said, this is the track, apart from the American tracks, that I have the least experience with. So I don't feel super confident giving it a hard rating, but it's just, it shows up very little. When it shows up, I'm not looking forward to it. I was thinking about F tier, because I know a lot of people don't like Snetterton, and I definitely don't like it either, but I have such little experience there. And Christoph is saying C, Draco is saying A, so I can't bring myself to put it in F tier, so it's gonna be joining these two friends in D tier. Fucking Paul in A tier, that's right, my friend. I mean, I've been saying it for a long time, I think, that I really like Foricard. It's a really underrated track, in my opinion. But definitely not underrated. Let's leave Snetterton behind, let's leave these behind Spa. Very topical, because I've just done 2 races there, and they were both beautiful. Spa is a cool track. Spa is just... no one hates Spa. Although, Christoph is giving it a C, which, I mean, is not hating, but it's definitely disliking, which is interesting. Draco, S tier, fair enough. A lot of people are giving it S tiers. Or I can see a lot of people giving it S tiers. Before 24-hour race, it was an S. After race, it was a C. Holy shit. One race? How does one race destroy your opinion of a track like that? I like it. I started out thinking about putting in, well, Yeah, early on in my ACC career, I was crap at Spa. It was probably my weakest track. Well, the weakest one of the common and well-liked tracks. And I maybe would have put it in C tier, maybe P tier. But right now, honestly, on the edge between S and A. It's a super iconic track, and in a much better way than Silverstone. Well, it's not really in a much better way than Silverstone, but it also has a cool history of just being a road racing track early on, and then people deciding it's too dangerous, and building a normal track out of it, and it's still not a normal track, and it's still dangerous. But, oh, so many iconic corners. Rouge, well, okay, nothing really comes close to Rouge, but everyone knows Lecombe, everyone knows Pouhon, everyone knows Stavelot and Blanchimont, everyone knows La Source. All fun corners, super fun combo. Only thing I really don't like about Spa is the low grip surface. It's the only thing about it that I can't grow to like. But it's so hard. AO beat S or A. Draco has done a 2-hour race there. The more I raced there, the more boring it became. That's how I feel about Nürburgring, but definitely on Spa. The more I raced there, the more I liked it. Because it's tricky. It's unique. It's iconic. I hope it stays on the F1 calendar. It's the very bottom of S tier. But it's just about an S tier. I like it more than Kyalami, probably, and I like it more than Laguna Seca, and I like it more than Porican, and I definitely like it more than Monza, so... Yeah. I mean, Kyalami is one that It's on the upper end of A, and then Spa is on the lower end of S. I think Spa is only a tiny margin ahead of Kyalami. But that's where it is. And then Suzuka is gonna fill up our S tier, A tier even more. Suzuka is a surprisingly rare track, actually. I haven't raced that much there recently, but it's a cool track. Super amazing flow. Basically no corner that I dislike there, except sort of the chicane. The chicane is kind of crap, but it's a tricky chicane. And if you've got the chicane figured out, it's still kind of fun. Great for racing, great for hot lapping. Also a really low grip surface, kind of like Spa. It doesn't have the iconicness, whatever, of Spa. And it also doesn't have the amazing variety of Spa. It also has a super iconic corner in the name of 130R, but 130R isn't as cool as Eau Rouge. Wait a minute, what's... The Magnum PI of Alpha SimSport. We have 3 tracks to vote on. And those 3 tracks are interesting. Because I don't have any experience. Well, I have very little experience in any of them, so... Let us pause the smooth jazz. Yeah, I haven't heard good things about it. The thing is, I really like COTA as an F1 track. I like watching it, and it also just seems like a really cool track. I mean, look at this turn 1. Looking at the track map, looks really cool. There's the board, there we go. It just looks like such a cool track, but then you drive it and it's apparently... Whoa. Apparently just sorta not great. Okay. Let's see if I can figure out these corners. Yeah, okay. So those curbs. Oh, whoa. Okay. Those curbs are definitely not part of the track, which is weird because usually in ACC you can go to the end of the curb, but in this instance it's the white line, which is sort of dumb, I gotta say. Okay, this seems like a really awkward second sector. I'm gonna follow this rubbered-in line. Wow, especially this corner. Oh, some curb slice. Without the rubbered-in line, I probably would have no idea where to go. But yeah, I mean, COTA is a not really iconic track, Okay, already invalidated again. And I was actually trying to be careful this time. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't hate this so far. Maybe if I drove a race here and actually had to deal with the track limits, then I would very quickly hate it. Okay, I can still brake a lot later than this. But there we go. I think for the first time ever, you're seeing me learn a new track live. Okay. This corner is slower than it looks. Blah. I mean, this one just feels like a bad magazine packet. Ah, it's really awkward, this place. Okay, that's my first COTA experience, and COTA in GT3 is F, is what Christoph is saying, which, yeah, it's not F for me just yet. I think I'm gonna carefully put it in D tier. Ah, right. I forgot about this. I guess COTA looks like that now. Enjoy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to carefully put it in D tier. The first sector seems super awkward. Third sector seems super awkward. Not really liking it. Maybe if you really get used to it and really get used to the track limits, then it can be sort of fun. It seems so hard to be consistent. It seems like you need a lot of practice to be really consistent, really on top of your game there. I need to put the Glen. The Glen hasn't had a rate yet because I haven't driven there. I was saying earlier, I haven't done any of the new tracks yet, any of the American tracks, which is why I'm doing 3 laps around each one. And then I'll rate them. So that's what's up right now. The Glen is up. Let's give that a shot. I have seen plenty of praise for the Glen. I have commentated the OR Europe race there, and it seemed like an amazing track for GT3 cars. Now these, like I said, are gonna be my absolute first laps around Watkins Glen. I haven't driven a single lap around here. In no car, not even the N2. But so far, I mean, first sector, it looked amazing from the outside. I was definitely too late. Was it too late, or did I just turn in too late? Okay, but that is a lot of curb you get here, and then this is the... Oh wow, okay. Definitely a faster corner than it seems. Okay, no idea what the braking point for this one is gonna be. Not even seeing any really good markers for it. But I'm already liking it. It has a really... I mean, every corner has a pretty good... That's a very close one. I think that was close to track limits, but still. And then these corners, I mean, they're called nothing corners. They're sort of useless in a racing sense, but they are just fun. It's just a good feeling to go through there. Okay, that was a lot better. Oh god. But it's fun. I approve a lot. Yeah. It's still a 46. I mean, one more lap and I'll be doing a 45, and then I'm sure with enough practice I'll be in a 44 as well. So, fun. Fun. Good track. Very good track. I can't say I have the personal connection to it to put it in... Oh wow, that's... Sorry about that. But yeah, I don't have the personal connection to it or enough... whatever. Enough experience there to be putting it into S tier. But it's, even within those first 3 laps, super fun. Really fun track. I think when that comes up in a league, I'll really be looking forward to it. To be learning a new track, because I haven't learned a new track in a while. Yeah. That's all I can say about that. It has amazing flow, it has really fun corners, even if the turn 2, 3, 4 are just kind of nothing corners. Super fun, the runoff as well. Some corners have a lot of runoff, some don't at all, so that's cool. But that's it for Watkins Glen. We have to give Indy another shot. It's bumpy, I gotta say. This is quite, okay, quite bumpy. And slippery? I mean, the tires are cold, but still. It looks so awkward, I know. Can I just... oh wow, okay. Can I just barrel over that inside curb there? I'll have to find out. Hey, oval. Just the tiniest bit. Oh wow, okay. So we brake before the 300... before the first board even shows up, I guess. Is that a first gear corner? It's... yeah, maybe? I don't know. Is this flat? No, probably not. Yeah. Already feels a lot more awkward than Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen was super intuitive. Okay, let's see where we brake. Let's pick 400. That was not it. Yeah, I mean, even if I don't fuck it up and hit the... lovely. God, there's so many awkward corners. This might also be a valid second gear corner. Hey, that was flat. Amazing. So, just barely a 136 for my, not really first lap, but first 3 laps at Indy. Am I enjoying it? No. No, no. Definitely not. Am I hating it? I'm not sure if I like it. I think I like it a tiny bit better than COTA so far. But do I? No. Do I like it less? I don't like it more. No. It's not C tier. It's D tier as well. That's where we gotta put it for now. I don't wanna be too polarizing on these 3 new tracks by putting one of them in S tier and one of them in F tier or something. Because I really just don't have the experience necessary to do that, I guess. Indy seems like it could be kind of fun for racing. In some perspectives, because it has different lines, I think. It definitely feels like it has different lines. Feels like it has more different lines than Watkins Glen for sure. Has some longish straights. But it's really awkward. Really hard to judge braking points. A lot of annoying sausage curbs. So I guess that's where we're gonna have to leave it for now. Indy, along with COTA. And then Watkins Glen goes into A. And as soon as I've got more experience, I might have to move some of them up or down. Maybe Watkins goes into S tier, who knows? Probably not going to be doing another one of these, at least for a long while. Maybe in a year or so, if there's even newer tracks or whatever. I guess you can now screenshot this and peddle it as the official Simon Bauer Corino approved ACC Track Tier List. That's what we've got right now. I was actually... Oh, how could I forget? How tragic. Quite, okay. Right. With that, we've reached the end of the tier list making and the end of the stream. I will stop talking like that. That is dumb. It's been fun. LFM races have been fun. Making ACC Track Tier List has been fun. So, thank you for that. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you had a decent time watching me be a dumbass and voice my stupid opinions. And with that, guess that's where I gotta cap it off. Have a good evening, have a good night. It's been fun having you aboard. I hope my new microphone is doing the channel justice. And with that, I hope to see you next time. Say hello to Lixie from me, and until then, goodbye. See ya.